Today we're going to learn all of these sounds. This is f, 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 f. This has the long A sound. A, 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 A. This has two sounds. The first one is oo, 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 oo. The second sound is uh, 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 uh. This also has two sounds. The most common is R, 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 where the A has the broad A sound of ah. AR can also have a long A sound and sound like air, 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 air. The broad A sound of R is used at the end of the word or before another consonant. The long A sound is used before a vowel or before the letter R. In other words, if you have ARR. There are no rules for whether to use oo or when you have two O's, so try both sounds and see which one gives you a word you recognize. Let's practice these sounds. Remember, PH says f. In this lesson, all of the underlined vowels will have their long sound. G, af, graph, photo, photo. The silent E will make the O have its long sound. Phone. Right here, we've added a suffix. Y at the end of a word usually has a long E sound. This O will have its long sound. Phony. AI has the long A sound of A. Paid, made, raid, laid. These words will use the oo sound. Oon, moon. AR will use the R sound in this word because it's followed by another consonant. K, R, t, oon, cartoon, droop, pool. These words will use the sound. Foot, stood, hood, wood. All of these words will use the broad A sound of R because they either have AR at the end of the word or AR followed by another consonant. Sk, R, scar, tar, far, bar, part, farm. Y at the end of a longer word usually has the long E sound. Hardy, hardy. Part, E, party. In all of these words, AR is going to have the long A sound. In this column, it's because AR will be followed by another vowel. In this column, it's because the A will be followed by two R's. Harem, harem. Parent, parent. This A will schwa, which means it will take on a muffled sound. A at the end of words usually does this. Area, area. Here we have the root care with a long A sound because of the silent E. We've added the ED past tense ending, so it's cared. Barrel, barrel. This Y will have the long E sound, carry. OW has two sounds, the long O sound and ow. Here we will use the long O sound, arrow, arrow. This O will schwa, which means it will take on a muffled sound that sounds like a short U sound of or a short I sound of I, parrot. Here are some important exceptions. In these three words, AI has the short E sound, so this is said. In both of these words, the AI has the short E sound, and the A at the beginning will schwa. So we have again and against. In this word, AI has a short A sound, plaid. Here, AI has a long I sound and the S is silent. Aisle. This E does not change the sound of anything. It's just here because every written syllable in English needs a vowel. In these two words, the O has the long O sound. So we have floor and door. In these two words, it has the short U sound. So blood and flood. There's something important to notice when you have a word ending in AR and you add a suffix. Right here, we have the word dare, where the A has the long A sound because of the silent E. When we add the suffix ing, this E gets dropped, but the A still keeps the long A sound. So we have daring. Here we have scare. When we add the suffix ing, the E gets dropped, but the A retains its long A sound, scaring. If the word ends in AR and we add a suffix such as ing or the letter Y, we double the R, but the A still keeps the same sound it had. So here we have jar with the broad A sound because AR is at the end of the word. We add the suffix ing, and even though there are two R's, it still keeps the R sound. So this is jarring. Here we have star. We add the suffix Y and we double the R, but we still keep the root sound of starry, starry. Scar, scarring. Bar, barring. Again, although generally ARR will have a long A sound and sound like air, if the R is only doubled because we added a suffix after a root ending in just AR, then we keep the broad A sound. That means we keep the R sound rather than switching to air. We should also be aware of words that end in the ARY suffix, which is pronounced with a long A. So this is airy. Here we have the root note, where the E makes the O have its long sound. We add the suffix and we have notary. Even though we drop the E before adding the suffix, the O keeps its long sound. Here we have diet with a long I, and we add airy and it becomes dietary. Here we have unit. We can add the airy suffix, unitary. Prime, we drop the E and we still keep the long I sound, primary. OR has or when followed by consonant. So this is ordinary, ordinary. Military, military. Sanitary, sanitary. ER says literary, literary. Let's practice all of these sounds. When you come across a word with two O's, there's no good rule for which sound to try first. The way I like to remember the two sounds is with the words moon and book. Ooh, You could remember the sentence, the moon is reading a book. Ooh, We have AR at the end of the word, so we're going to use the R sound, star. This Y will have a long E sound, starry. Y in the middle of a syllable has a short I sound, lymph, nymph. This Y will have a long E sound again. Here we have two R's, so this is going to use the long A sound, hairy, tail. Try both sounds. Try the oo first, Okay, that's a word, so we can stop. We have two R's, so switch to the long A pronunciation. Narrow, narrow. This OW can also be pronounced ow, but in this word it uses the long O sound. Cool, cool. Maine. This is a name, so it has a capital letter. Ralph. Wait. Again, we will try the oo sound first. Hoop. This is another name. Larry. Noon. OR says or when followed by another consonant. Morph. Sonar. Tool. AR followed by a consonant uses the R sound. Barn. Root. Aim. Photon. Rook. I don't recognize that word, so I will try the sound. Rook. A rook is a piece in the game of chess. Woof. Woof. I don't recognize that, so we'll try the sound. Woof. Woof is the sound a dog makes when it barks. Remember that Q and U together have the qu sound. Quart. ER says barber. Barber. Ool. I don't recognize that, so we will try wool, nail, zoom, sphere. Let's practice some words using these sounds. This word is barricade. 2 R's after an A, so the A has the long sound. A barricade is something you use to block the path of an enemy, or to actually block the path. They put up a barricade to stop the fans climbing the stage. Here we have calligraphy. Calligraphy is very fancy handwriting, such as this. The wedding invitations used calligraphy. Abstain. That means to avoid doing or having something using self-control. He's abstaining from alcohol for all of January. Acquaintance. An acquaintance is someone you know but wouldn't call a real friend. I don't spend much time with my neighbor. He's more of an acquaintance than a friend. If you found this lesson useful, please share it with others on X, Facebook, and WhatsApp.